The first time I fired a gun on my ranch wasn't for hunting or target practice. It was to protect what was mine from a man who had no right to be there. And the worst part, he wasn't a burglar or a drifter or someone lost. He was an HOA cop, a self-appointed enforcer from a subdivision that wasn't even part of my land. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. When I first moved out here to Dry Creek, I thought I'd left all that suburban nonsense behind. My ranch sat on 50 acres of open field and mesquite brush, land I'd worked hard for, with a house I built up piece by piece. Out here, I expected quiet. I expected the only patrols to be deer moving at dawn and cattle shifting at dusk. But the HOA from the neighboring development had other plans. At first, it was petty things. An SUV marked HOA security creeping along my fence line, the driver scribbling on a clipboard. I'd find flyers stuffed in my gate telling me my fencing wasn't approved or my equipment wasn't aesthetically compliant. Lies. Their rules stopped at their neighborhood boundary. They had no authority over me. I laughed it off until the warnings turned into threats. Neighbors mentioned a so-called HOA cop bragging that he could clean up that ranch if he wanted. I brushed it off until the day I saw him standing at the edge of my property in broad daylight, vest on, arms crossed, staring like he owned the place. His presence was meant to intimidate. It didn't stop there. A week later, while I was feeding cattle, Daisy, my German Shepherd mix, ran to the fence barking. She wasn't aggressive, just protective. The HOA cop smirked, pulled a notepad from his vest, and said, "This animal's a violation. Aggressive breed. HOA rules don't allow it." I froze, then laughed. "You're out of your mind. This is my land. We're not under your HOA." He didn't even blink. He just kept writing in that notebook like my words didn't matter. Then he walked off muttering, "Rules are rules." That line stuck with me like a thorn. Rules? Whose rules? He had no jurisdiction here, no legal right to even set foot on my property, and yet he was acting like judge, jury, and executioner. The more I thought about it, the less I could ignore it. I decided to bring it up formally. I drove into town and walked straight into the HOA office. The president, Linda Harper, sat behind her oak desk with a polished smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Linda," I said, calm but firm, "your so-called HOA cop has been trespassing on my property, harassing me, and calling my dog a violation. You and I both know my ranch isn't part of your HOA." Her polished smile didn't budge. If anything, it sharpened. "Mr. Hayes," she said evenly, "Officer Trent is doing his job. Your ranch might not have signed our charter, but your land borders Dry Creek Estates. That means your choices affect our residents. Property values, safety, even aesthetics. Your dog barking at the fence? That's a liability. Your fencing? It's not compliant. Officer Trent is well within his rights to document those issues." I leaned forward on her desk. "No, he's not. You and I both know your rules stop at the subdivision boundary. You have no jurisdiction over me, my land, or my dog." Her eyes hardened, though her tone stayed syrup sweet. Sometimes the lines on a map don't reflect the bigger picture. Trent understands that. He's not harassing you, he's protecting the community. If you're smart, you'll cooperate instead of fighting us. "Protecting the community?" I snapped. "By trespassing? By threatening my dog?" She slid a folder across the desk. Inside were photographs, my fence line, my barn, even a blurry shot of Daisy. Every detail was time-stamped and cataloged. "Evidence," Linda said smoothly. "If we have to escalate, this will speak louder than your words." Something in my gut went cold. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a campaign. I stood, shoving the folder back at her. "You've crossed the line, Linda. Stay off my land and tell your cop to do the same." Her smile finally cracked, but not into fear, into something smug. "Careful, Mr. Hayes. Rules are rules, and rules always catch up to people who think they're above them." 2 days had passed since I sat in Linda Harper's office, warning her about her so-called HOA cop. She hadn't listened. She'd defended him, even dared to say he was protecting the community. I should have known then it wouldn't end with words. I was out by the barn, repairing a section of fence that had sagged in the summer heat. Daisy, my German Shepherd mix, padded alongside me the way she always did. Her tail swished lazily, her nose working the wind. The cicadas were buzzing, the sun rode high, and the smell of cut hay hung heavy. Peace. That's what I'd worked for. Then Daisy's bark shattered it. It wasn't her usual alert bark. It was sharp, frantic, full of rage and fear. I dropped the post driver and spun. The HOA cop wasn't at the road, wasn't lurking by the fence line. He was inside my yard, boots grinding my soil like he had every right in the world. His vest read HOA cop in bold block letters, like a costume that could grant him authority he didn't have. And worse, his fist was clamped around Daisy's collar, jerking her neck until she yelped. My blood boiled. "Let go of my dog," I roared, my voice carrying across the field. He didn't. Instead, he smirked and sneered. This animal's a violation, aggressive breed. HOA rules don't allow it. That was the moment I realized this wasn't bluster. He wasn't just flexing power, he was willing to hurt her. And the law was clear. Texas Penal Code 30.05 made his trespass a crime. Penal Code 42.092 made his cruelty to Daisy a felony. He was breaking both right in front of me. I didn't stop to weigh options. Instinct and duty fused in my chest. My revolver sat in the leather holster strapped to my belt, same place it always was when I worked the ranch. My hand found it without thought. The weight was familiar, heavy, certain. Daisy whimpered, her paws clawing at the ground, trying to twist free of his grip. My thumb cocked the hammer back. The sharp metallic click sliced through the air. Last chance, I told him, my voice low and steady, barrel leveled square at his chest. He only sneered wider. His grip tightened. Daisy cried out in pain. That was it. I pulled the trigger. The blast thundered across the open field, smoke curling from the muzzle as the HOA cop dropped like a sack of stone. Daisy bolted free, her tail tucked but alive, sprinting straight to me. I crouched low, pulling her into my arms, her heart hammering against my chest, the acrid smell of gunpowder still sharp in the air. I looked over at him. He wasn't moving. His clipboard lay in the dirt, pages fluttering in the hot breeze. The vest that gave him false authority now looked like nothing more than a cheap costume. In that moment, I knew everything had changed. This wasn't a dispute anymore. This wasn't flyers on a gate or smug smirks across the fence line. This was blood on my land. And when the law came calling, as it surely would, I'd stand by what I'd done. Because in Texas, a man defends his home, a man defends his dog. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe because the story is only going to get better. The silence didn't last long. Daisy pressed against my leg, ears flat, whimpering. I holstered the revolver, my hands steady even as my chest pounded. Out here, shots traveled far. I knew before the dust settled that someone had heard. Sure enough, the crunch of tires on gravel followed minutes later. A white county sheriff's SUV rolled up my drive. Two deputies stepped out, hands hovering near their holsters. They took one look at the HOA cop, sprawled in the dirt, and their eyes narrowed. "Sir, drop the weapon," one barked. I raised my hands, slow, deliberate. "It's holstered. He trespassed. He put his hands on my dog. Texas Penal Code 30.5 and 42.092. You know exactly what that means." The younger deputy knelt by the man, checking his pulse. "He's alive," he said. "Unconscious, but alive." The older deputy fixed me with a hard stare. "You shot him?" "I defended my dog," I said evenly. "He had no authority to be here. Look at his vest. HOA cop. That's not law enforcement. That's trespassing in a costume." Before they could respond, a shiny black Mercedes skidded up the drive. Out stepped Linda Harper, HOA president herself, her heels crunching gravel like gunfire. "This is outrageous," she barked. "That man is a duly appointed HOA officer, and you just committed attempted murder." The deputy snapped back. "Ma'am, you better watch your words. HOAs don't have officers. What he did was criminal impersonation at minimum. You're already knee-deep if you sent him here." Linda's face drained of color. She tried to recover, sneering. "Our community borders his land. That makes it community adjacent. We have the right to enforce." "No, you don't," the deputy cut her off. "You're a civil homeowners association. You have zero law enforcement authority outside your subdivision. What happened here is trespassing, animal cruelty, and now an aggravated assault case because your man was dressed like law enforcement. That's a felony under Texas Penal Code 37.11. Impersonating a public servant." For the first time, Linda was silent. The EMTs arrived, loading the limp cop onto a stretcher. Daisy growled as they passed, and I kept my hand on her back, steadying her. The sheriff himself pulled in not long after, reviewed the scene, and confirmed what I already knew. I wasn't under arrest. Instead, Linda was placed in the back of a squad car for questioning. Within a week, the fallout hit like a wildfire. The so-called HOA cop was formally charged with criminal trespass 30.05, animal cruelty 42092, impersonating a public servant 37.11, and assault. The DA added aggravated harassment for his ongoing campaign against me. Linda didn't escape either. Emails and board records proved she authorized him to patrol land outside the HOA's jurisdiction. That earned her charges of conspiracy, aiding and abetting impersonation, and civil liability for harassment. The HOA board panicked, facing lawsuits from neighbors, fines from the county, and bad press splashed across every local news station. They voted Linda out in disgrace. Membership dwindled, funds dried up, and within 3 months, the HOA filed paperwork to dissolve entirely. Neighbors I barely knew stopped me in town to shake my hand. One old rancher told me, "Son, you didn't just protect your dog, you protected every one of us from that circus." As for the cop, still in recovery from the gunshot, he eventually took a plea deal. 2 years in state prison and a lifetime ban from serving on any HOA board or neighborhood watch. Linda faced a mountain of fines and lost her home to pay legal fees. Me? I walked Daisy across my land every morning, revolver at my side, the air clean and quiet again. No more flyers, no more SUVs creeping my fence line, just peace. The kind of peace you only appreciate after you've had to fight for it. The HOA thought they could bring their rules into my world. But out here, there's only one rule that matters. A man defends what's his. And when the law came calling, it stood right beside me.